Welcome to a Legendarium special called Bird Tears, Medical Necklaces, and Magic, a History of Amber. Amber, or succinite, is fossilized tree sap, the oldest being 320 million years old. When a tree is punctured or scratched, the tree releases a sticky substance called resin to seal the wounded area. Over time, resin will harden and form the amber which we are familiar with today. It is a translucent orange-yellow substance that glows when polished and held up to light. A simple substance, it once captivated the human imagination nearly as much as gold. The first amber workshops appeared in the amber-rich Baltic coast around 10,000 BC, the Neolithic era. Trade in amber became widespread during the Bronze Age, which lasted from 3000 to 1200 BC. Germanic and European tribes traded the amber for more practical goods, like tin and bronze. Seafaring nations like the Phoenicians became involved in the amber trade, spreading it even further afield. Ancient Mediterranean cultures became especially enamored with amber, likely because it came from beyond the map's edge, which made it more exotic to their eyes. In some cultures, such as Bronze Age Ireland, it became the ultimate status symbol, a badge of royalty. So why did amber become so popular? It is easy to work with, relatively abundant, and easy to source compared to emeralds, which could only be mined in the Sinai Peninsula. Compared to precious stones, it is soft and pliable. Additionally, when amber is rubbed, it produces an electrical charge that attracts light objects like straw. While this is less impressive today in our age of magnetism, it is easy to see how ancient people would come to believe they saw magic at work in amber. Craftsmen used saws, files, and drills to engrave amber into jewelry. The only downside is that, as an organic compound, amber doesn't last forever. While amber can be polished, once exposed to sunlight or air, amber loses its luster until it becomes opaque. Ancient amber jewelry is often less impressive than it was at the time of its crafting. Of course, ancients had no idea where the beautiful material came from. While not especially rare, it retained a sense of mystery since it came to a place unknown to people in the Mediterranean. The Roman historian Ovid recorded one of the fantastic stories that people told to explain this wondrous substance. Ovid wrote that the sea goddess Clymene had a son named Phaethon, who tried to drive Apollo's sun chariot. Every morning, Apollo drove across the sky, dragging the sun behind his vehicle. Very kind of him. Tragically, the young god Phaethon lost control of the chariot when he absconded with it. To keep it from crashing into the earth, Zeus shot Phaethon out of the sky with a thunderbolt. His mother Clymene and her daughters transformed into poplar trees, and their tears then crystallized into amber. The Greek name for amber, electrum, came from their word for the sun. Another Greek myth tied amber to the death of the hero Meleager. His mother learned that her son would only live as long as an ember survived from her fireplace, so Meleager's mother hid an ember away in a cupboard. While Meleager grew up to become a great hero, he also murdered one of his uncles. Meleager's enraged and grief-stricken mother then threw her son's ember into the fireplace, killing him. The birds found Meleager's death so tragic that they wept, and their tears became amber. Other writers claimed amber to be a ray of sunlight that solidified when it struck the earth. Still others believed it came from male lynx urine, close in color to that of amber. In some ancient thinking, that obviously meant amber came from lynx urine. Ancient Italian cultures like the Etruscans and Romans became masters of making amber jewelry and figurines. Pliny the Elder, in his Natural History, sought to classify all stones and materials known to his countrymen. Throwing out the more fantastic stories, Pliny wrote that amber likely came from pine tree sap, noting that when burned, amber smelled of pine. Since insects became trapped in it, he also surmised that it began as a liquid but became a solid. Unfamiliar with fossilization, Pliny the Elder wrote that some strange mechanism of the sea caused the transformation. Pliny the Elder also noted in his work that a small amber figurine could cost more than a physically exceptional slave. Ancients in Greece and Egypt, who already believed amber to have magical properties, used it to make protective talismans to guard against the unseen horrors of their world, like demons and evil spirits. Some even left amber beads in graves to protect the spirits on their journey to the next world. Ancient doctors also believed that amber could help with everything from mouth and throat problems to mental disorders. Folk healers would grind amber up with rose oil and honey to treat eye and ear diseases. Amber's popularity likely peaked during the reign of Nero. It became so popular that Roman amber scouts plunged into the dense forest and ventured to the Baltic coast. After negotiating with temperamental chiefs, they brought amber back to serve as decorations for gladiators' weapons, armor, and funeral biers. Nero even once threw a series of gladiatorial games with amber as the theme. Around the 3rd century, amber began to lose its popularity. By the Middle Ages, it remained popular only in the Baltic as a decoration. However, using amber as medicine continued into the medieval era. Doctors used amber necklaces to cure colic and teething pain. Traditional Chinese medicine uses amber as a mood stabilizer. Strikingly, there is a scientific explanation for the belief in amber's medical power. It contains succinic acid, commonly used as a medicine before the discovery of antibiotics. However, there is little evidence that amber necklaces have had any effect on any patients. Today, of course, amber has lost its sense of mystery. Greater scientific knowledge means that people no longer think amber to be the tears of the gods or crystallized sunlight. Yet it remains exciting to know that we can hold an object millions of years old in the palm of our hand. It lives on in Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park, where amber preserved dinosaur DNA and mosquito blood for obscenely rich men to unleash a film franchise upon the world that refuses to die. Of course, DNA half-life only lasts 521 years, so a dinosaur park is not in the cards. However, many creatures have ended their lives fully intact in amber, like frogs, lizards, geckos, snakeskins, and bird feathers. Indeed, the closest thing we will come to a dinosaur park is the many extinct animals that ended their lives in amber, allowing us to catch a glimpse of them millions of years later. And there really is magic there. That wraps things up for this episode of the Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.